maybe we can start with how you first became interested in the topic of free will.
Well, I was about 14 or 15 years old, sitting in a classroom at school, and the lesson either hadn't started or it had started, and I was paying no attention to it. And I was thinking about the idea of cause and effect, how effects are caused and then become causes, so that there are chains of causality stretching backwards into the past and forward into the future. And I realized that I myself was the product of chains of causality stretching back to a time before my birth, and that what I did in future would be simply an extension of the chain. Determinism is causality, and it does rule out free will. Believe it or not, I thought I was the first person ever to reach this conclusion. And when I shared it with one or two other boys, they dismissed it out of hand. This idea has stayed with me ever since, as it were.
Yeah. And so perhaps you can describe the kind of free will that you're arguing that we don't have.
Yes, well, this is important. The free will that we don't have is the popular idea of free will, the idea which underlines our justice system. It's the idea of free choice, that in any given situation, or in almost any given situation, we really might behave in a way different from the way in which we do behave. And this just isn't so. Of course, there are other conceptions of free will. The compatibilist philosophers say that provided you're not being coerced into doing something you don't want to do, you have something they like to call free will. But that doesn't involve free choice. On this view, you're free to do what you want, but you're not free to want what you want. So as they themselves accept, determinism still rules.
Right. And so I was first attracted to your writing by the title of your first book, The Nonsense of Free Will. And it really resonated with me because I see free will as a kind of incoherent concept that really can be dismissed as nonsense. Is that how you see it?
Yes, it is. If you reject determinism and opt for free will, then by definition, you have to say that people's behavior is not determined. Not determined by their being the people they are, not determined by anything. And if an act is undetermined, then it's just a random chance, accidental, inexplicable act, an act which could reflect no credit or discredit on the person who does it. And this really is the nonsense of free will. Some people accept the importance of determining factors, but still try to believe that there is must be a little bit of free will in there somewhere. Bishop Richard Holloway, if that rings a bell with anybody, for example, holds this belief, but it makes no sense, because a little bit of randomness, a little bit of inexplicability, how could that be, and why would you want it? And actually, how could you identify it? If somebody does something, where's the little bit of free will? Where did that come in? What effect did that have? The whole thing falls apart the more you think about it.
Absolutely. And so you're also arguing that free will is a harmful concept. In what ways is it harmful?
Well, I think it's harmful because it purports to justify all the cruelty and injustice which we unleash upon one another. it's thought to validate all the hatred and contempt and vengefulness and vindictiveness and retribution, which we keep on people who do things that we consider to be harmful or wrong. And it enables us to dismiss and denigrate people who whose lives are bleak and unsuccessful, because we think they could have changed them by an act of free will, and to admire the rich and powerful because we think they have done just that. And none of this is fair, because people are built to live the lives they lead. It has rightly been said that belief in free will actually leads to people who have become poor or dependent on benefits, or homeless or downtrodden and unsuccessful, suffering a double dose of unfairness. The first dose is the bad biological environmental luck which has caused their situation, caused their plight. And the second dose is the blame and contempt which they suffer because of it.
Right. Yeah, so this isn't purely philosophical. This is really important.